Here's my preview of the Baylor at Kansas State men's basketball game. As of this recording, I don't know what the rankings will be, but I do know this should be a top 20 showdown. Should be, if not a top 15. Some players that keep an eye on are like Keontae Johnson, number 11. 6'6", 230-pound forward. That's a senior. 17.4 points per game. 31 for 77 on threes. 102 for 140 on free throws. Yeah, he attempts a bunch of free throws. Second most on the team. 7.4 rebounds per game. 2.1 assists per game. 3.1 turnovers per game. 1.2 steals per game. 2.3 fouls per game. Marquise Noel, number 1. 5'8", 160-pound guard as a senior. 16.9 points per game. 62 for 177 on threes. 137 for 155 on free throws. 3.5 rebounds per game, 10.5 assists per game, 3.6 turnovers per game, 2.3 steals per game, 1.9 fouls per game. Naquan Tomlin, number 35, 6'10", 210-pound forward as a junior, 10.2 points per game, 13 for 55 on threes, 53 for 72 on free throws, 5.9 rebounds per game, 1.3 turnovers per game, 0.9 blocks, 1.2 steals, 2.9 fouls. Dusty Sills, number 13, 6'2", 200-pound guard as a senior, 8.3 points per game, 15 for 62 on threes, 54 for 75 on free throws, 3.4 rebounds per game, 2.2 assists per game, 1.7 turnovers per game, 0.9 steals per game, 2.4 fouls per game. David Nugesson, number 3, 6'9", 215-pound forward as a junior, 6.5 points per game, 4 for 7 on threes, 23 for 44 on free throws, 4 rebounds per game, 1 turnover per game, 1.6 steals per game, 0.6 blocks, 2 fouls per game. Cam Carter, number 5, 6'3", 185-pound guard as a sophomore, 6.1 points per game, 27 for 78 on threes, 19 for 25 on free throws, 2.8 rebounds per game, 1.6 turnovers per game, 0.9 steals per game, 2.3 fouls per game. Ismail Masood, number 25, 6'9", 220-pound forward as a junior, 5.4 points per game, 28 for 66 on threes, 19 for 20 on free throws, 1.9 fouls per game. Abba Yomi Iola, Ioiola. I apologize if I butchered that last name. Number 23, 6'10", 220-pound center. That's a senior. 4.4 points per game, 0 for 1 on threes, 30 for 37 on free throws, 30.4 rebounds per game, 1 turnover per game, 2.1 fouls per game. Tyke Green is the last player I'm going to mention. Number 4, 6'4", 205-pound guard. That's a senior. 3.2 points per game. 6 for 25 on threes, 9 for 26 on free throws, 1.3 fouls per game. Obviously, I'm going to put this in the stats in the description below so y'all can see it. And first of all, don't let that last game beat you twice against Kansas. You just can't let it happen. You got to not have, when you have a double-digit lead, blow it on the road. You just can't do that. I mean, just can't. And allow that many points like you did in the second half after having that lead. Obviously, across the board, limit your foul trouble. That kind of hurt us in the Kansas game a little bit. And them getting to the free throw line so much in the first half. That's the only reason why they kind of stuck around in that game. Remember. Now, defensively, contain the shooters, contain the slashers. Got to get more defensive rebounds than last game. You got to be better in that category. Force turnovers, because Kansas didn't hardly turn the ball over in that game. Remember, when you look at the stats. And I even went over the stats, too. I mean, they didn't turn the ball over that much. You got to make the other team more uncomfortable. So, that's the deal there. And don't let them get to the free throw line so much. I mean, that's the truth. And you got to limit Keontae Johnson, the secondary scorers like Tomlin and Sills and Nugesson and Carter and Masood. obviously you want to do a good job on Keontae Johnson and Marquise Noel. You need to do a good job on those two in particular. But I know they're going to be kind of tricky to handle. Just don't allow any secondary players. And the thing is, you want to make those two guys inefficient as much as possible. Now, offensively, you got to take care of the ball a lot better than you did last game. I mean, I know the start we have 4 turnovers and they only committed 2 more since that time in the first half, but the second half didn't help at all. You were just taking a bunch of jump shots and settling. You got to get to the rim, like you did in the beginning in the first half against Kansas with finishing. You got to have to make more free throws than you did last game. That percentage didn't look good at all. You got to make your free throws count. You got to have crisp passing as well. You got to have good shot selection. Like, good shot, great shot, better shot. You got to get some offensive rebounds, so like you did in that first half, and get second chance points. And you got to get some transition points in the paint. You got to have your bench points too to help. In addition, okay, bench points, second chance points, fast break points, points on turnovers. And honestly, I didn't mention that defensively. You got to limit all those. Points in the paint, second chance points, fast break points, points on turnovers. I mean, that's the truth. And I'm going to say this right now. Flo Thamba needs to be doing a better job than what he did last game. I'm not just talking about foul trouble either. I'm talking about him rebounding the ball. I mean, that's obvious step number 1. You got to have him better. And you got to have Jalen Bridges step up more than he did in that Kansas last game. He's got to step up more. Which I think that was just an off game from him. I really, really do. I expect him to be better. You got to have LJ Cryer, Keontae George, Adam Flagler step up. As well as Langston Love and Jonathan Chachua. I know the last game was kind of not his best game either. He had 3 fouls in the first half. That didn't help at all. And you got to have him step up as well as Joshua Juwuna in case he gets in foul trouble. And, of course, Caleb Lohner needs to just do his role if he gets to play that much. I mean, like rebounding and not just scoring, but I meant like rebounding and defense. Dale Bonner, if he does get to play, he needs to step up too. So I pretty much went over all the keys in this game. Besides, don't let that previous game when you had a double-digit lead beat you twice. That's kind of what happened in that game against TCU before we played Kansas State in the prior game, to be honest. I mean, that's kind of what happened. You just can't allow that to happen twice. I mean, you can't, like, mentally let it happen again. And I know it kind of was like that Marquette game in a way, but except 1 half's worth. I mean, and then, you know what happened in the following game against Gonzaga. We stepped it up defensively. And I expect us to step it up defensively and be better. I really, really do. And they're staying in the state of Kansas because it doesn't make sense for them to travel back and then go back up there. I mean, since the game's on a Tuesday, I mean, it's the truth. And I realize Kansas State is better at home than on the road. I do. But it's not. We've been playing a lot better since that first meeting against Kansas State. Remember, that last game was only our second conference loss since the 0-3 start in the conference. And this is a must-win here. Because, let's face it, we don't want to be swept. That's just naming one reason. 2, we got to keep ourselves in the conference race for the Big 12 title. I mean, right now, Texas and Kansas are tied in the league at 10-4. But I expect both of those to lose at least one game or two, at least another game or even 2 or 3 games. I definitely think Texas has the harder road of the two. I do. I mean, when you look at the schedules, and not only that, it would eliminate us from contention from that with the loss. You just can't have it happen. And I do think Kansas will lose to TCU. It's the West Virginia and Texas Tech game at home. I don't see happening, but then again, they lost at home earlier. I know they did to TCU. So I really do think Kansas is going to lose that game or the Texas game or even both. I really, really do. And Texas has to still play us again. Remember. And this time we're going to have Jonathan Chamachachua and Langston Love in that game. They could very well lose to Iowa State at home, though. And I know Iowa State's not that great on the road. They're not. They're only 2 road wins. But still, that's a tough matchup. I mean, but then they have to play us. And then, not only that, they have to play TCU at TCU. They could very well lose that game. And they got Kansas at home. So you could definitely see a scenario where Texas could lose twice. They're going to lose at least once. It's probably going to happen. It's twice or 3 times that is a possibility here. So you got to go out and take care of your business on your own before worrying about others. And I know I'm just stating what the remaining schedules are for Texas and Oklahoma. I meant Texas and Kansas here. I know I am, but I'm just putting it in perspective. I mean, and we also have, of course, we play Texas right after this game, but that game's at home. But you have to go on the road to Oklahoma State, which that in about from a Saturday Monday deal to go Iowa State. That's tough. And then you get to play Iowa State at home, which you're playing a lot better now than when you first began the conference. So, yeah. You need to find a way to try to get a win here against Kansas State because you don't want to be on the outside looking in for the Big 12 title or not have it at all in the regular season. And if nothing else, you need to improve your resume in order to be like a 2 seed for sure. I don't know about a 1. I don't know about that. Just try to find a way to get to a 2 seed. And this would be a quality game on the road to do it. Anyways, if you like this content, hit like and subscribe. I see you guys later. 500 subscribers. We're on the road to it. Let's go.